Hello, everyone. This is your host, Gemma Putty, bringing health and wellness conversations from North Idaho and across this region. I'm so excited to chat with entrepreneurs, creatives, and believers as we journey together to connect more deeply to ourselves, our earth, and our communities. Cheers to shining bright and supporting local. For interview number 16, I am talking with Dr. Bonita Hazel. She has a background in chiropractic care, psychology, and the healing arts, to now be offering her clients a magical combination of these in order to help heal on a much deeper level than just that of muscle and bone. So I took something from her website because she says this so eloquently herself. She says that she's developed a fusion of gentle healing techniques to help clear out old energetic patterns to align you with your highest potential and truest expression of yourself. So needless to say, once I'd read that, I was immediately fascinated and wanted to know more and meet Dr. Bonita. And I've never actually had a regular chiropractic appointment before. The thought of popping my back has just never been something that appealed, actually scared me. So I had an appointment with Dr. Bonita, and now I have her on the podcast to ask her more questions and understand how she's come to where she is with this combination of chiropractic and the healing arts. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure, for sure. So we'll dive straight in. I would love to know, what is your elevator pitch of, not pitch, that's the wrong word, but description of what you do?
Oh my gosh, it's been a constant evolution, but the basis of it is the same. I grew up under chiropractic care. So when I was a baby, I was the baby that even my grandparents didn't like babysitting because I just cried constantly.
Oh no.
My mom tried everything under the sun, and eventually my grandmother suggested I go see a chiropractor. And within seconds of the first adjustment, I stopped crying and fell asleep. So my mom was totally hooked. And from that point on, I grew up under chiropractic care. So going to chiropractic school was the easiest decision I ever made. But once I got there, I became really disenchanted with the mechanistic model that they were teaching us. So it was very anatomical with angles and rights and wrongs. And there was something in me that just could not believe that to be the entire truth. So I dove into studying all of the healing material I could possibly get my hands on, as many modalities as I could. And I've just created this, really it's an art. It's like painting. So in general, what I do is help with alignment. And yes, it's on a physical level, aligning muscular structures and bones, but on a deeper level, it's aligning you to the power that exists within your body. It's an innate intelligence that's there all the time to help you heal and to evolve and grow. So when people come and see me, my primary focus is, how can I help this person connect to that source within?
Yeah. I love that because I've been on a similar journey. When I started my coaching path with studying gut health, right? And people so often will come and like, what do I eat? Tell me what to eat. And I'm like, after studying gut health and realizing that's a huge connection to mental and your physical as well, but I just started to realize that you could be putting like the perfect food in your body per se, but if you're not aligned with your purpose, with your like listening from within, your intuition, none of that food it's going to be as toxic as the worst food, right? It's so much bigger and more interconnected. And I think that's why I was so drawn to you, is that you were saying everything that I completely and have discovered for myself, more importantly, right? It's like, it's so much more than just one piece. So you're a yoga teacher as well, is that right?
Yeah, yep.
So you've studied yoga, Reiki. Will you just discuss some of those other healing arts that you discovered and
Yeah.
explored on your way to this?
So within chiropractic, what really got me in the realm of, for lack of a better word right now, the gentle side of things. Within the realm of chiropractic, there's what's known as straight chiropractic, which is the typical, what people know of as the bone popping. So they call it osseous adjusting.
Okay.
And then there's another side of chiropractic that not as many people know about called tonal chiropractic, which is really addressing the tone of the nervous system. So about halfway through my career, I definitely veered towards the tonal side of things.
Nice.
And I began studying, like you said, Reiki was one of the first ones. I studied reflexology, craniosacral work is one of my all-time favorite modalities.
What is that? I don't even know what that is. You mentioned that in our appointment, and I was like, I actually have no clue what that is.
Sacral. So the word literally is cranial and sacral put together.
Okay.
Cranium is head. Sacral is it's a sacrum. It's a big triangle bone right at the base of your.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the premise, the philosophy is that all the bones in your head about every 8 seconds pulse.
Okay.
And the same thing happens with your sacrum. It kind of rocks. So at both ends of your spine, you've got this, they call it your primary respiration happening.
Beautiful, yeah.
There's a deep rhythm happening in the body, and the purpose of it is to move nutrients, fluid, and in my mind, energy along the spinal cord. And craniosacral taps into, I hold a person's head and feel for that rhythm. Okay. And what happens is when a person experiences trauma, whether it's physical trauma, emotional trauma, those bones, even trauma from birth, those bones don't quite fit together the way they're supposed to. The rhythm is a little dysregulated, and what that leads to is just kind of like an underlying chaos in the body and the energy system. So craniosacral work is aimed at restoring the natural rhythm.
Which is interesting because I am obsessed with the chakras. Like I study them. I just believe I just align that way, right? Like these 7 energy centers. So to think, I mean, in similar, after a while, you start to see how everything is connected in this world, right? So it's the same with the cranial sacral, the top and bottom chakra, the 2 like points where we're rooting to the earth or to the universe, however you want to say that. And so that's awesome. It's just funny how the terminology aligns in different modalities, but it's all kind of coming back to the same themes, right?
Exactly. Like what I found is any modality that I studied, my mind works best when I look at the philosophy. So rather than step 1, step 2, step 3, what is the underlying like philosophy? And I would write about them and draw them out. And every single one, I just had pictures and pictures of stick figures with flowing lines, just flowing lines along the whole body. So what I really came to is it's all about flow. Any modality that I studied, energy work, whatever, flow equals health, and lack of flow equals not so much health.
Exactly. Blockages. And so with the 2 types of chiropractic, the popping and is that something that do you ever do that if you feel a need, or do you feel like if you are doing the tonal, it's almost preventing and creating alignment just in a whole nother way that isn't quite so forceful?
That has also been a huge piece of my journey, understanding, yes, I have the title chiropractor, but does that mean that I need to do that thing that most chiropractors do? And the purpose behind the bone popping or moving, still the root philosophy of chiropractic is removing blockages for the innate intelligence to flow. So even chiropractors that you go to that are just popping a bone are aiming at helping to remove the blockage is. But in my personal experience of that type of chiropractic care, it felt like more stimulus than I needed in a world where we're all just, in my mind, completely overstimulated. So you spoke to it pretty well in saying that I don't think the body really needs that additional force. I think if anything, we need the exact opposite of that. But that's my perspective of the world and how I feel like I can show up to help people.
Right. Well, and I think it's interesting in our culture too. The impact almost is, oh, they've done something. Like I went and I was popped, and like our experience when I came to see you was way more flowy and vulnerable in a way that you were in, I don't know that inducing is the right word, but as you went up my spine, you're teaching me to be intuitive, to flow with what I was feeling like I needed. But that's something in general that our culture doesn't, Western culture really doesn't inspire a lot of. It's that creative piece, it's that vulnerable piece, it's that listen to your body. What does your body need? Rather than it needs the keto diet and it needs popping and it needs this. And there's a place for everything in different people and how different people function. But I think that flowing piece that you're talking about is just innately something, or it's not innate in our culture because we're kind of closed out to being like, you get your back popped and then you've felt it and it's fixed. Right?
Words right now, you are speaking so much truth. There's been, for whatever reason, I haven't figured it out yet, so let me know if you have ideas on it, but a lack of responsibility that we grow up with in terms of taking care of our bodies. It's like when something's wrong, rather than being taught to look within, check in with how your heart is and the rhythms that you're feeling, it's like, oh, well, let me ask someone else.
Yes.
And have them fix it. So that's a huge piece to my practice as well. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to people if I gave that pop and said, okay, you're good. I would rather teach them to listen to their bodies and figure it out themselves. That's, our bodies are our home, and I just want to help teach people that it's our responsibility to keep our homes clean and cozy and safe.
No, for sure. How has that been received in your practice? I'm sure, I mean, energy attracts like energy, right? So I'm sure you're attracting people like me that are like, I feel like there's a place for chiropractic, but I haven't found it in other people that want to pop my back because that doesn't work for me. So has it been received, or people a little hesitant to that natural intuitive flow that you are promoting?
There has been just people that flock and do not question, in the sense of, are you a chiropractor? I've reached a point now where people don't even really mention the chiropractic piece. It's been amazing. I was so scared coming out of school trying to market or just show the world this idea that I had. But like you said, like energy attracts like energy. So I just do everything I can to stay aligned to how I feel I want to express, and the people that are ready for it and want it just show up at the door somehow.
I love it. Well, and one of my questions was, because I found Dr. Bonita on Instagram, basically, is how I started chatting with you, right? And my question was, okay, I'm really not about like reactive care. I'm very much about proactive care, and how does that fit in with the work that you were doing? So in talking to people that might be interested in coming to see you, I mean, you're promoting it's really proactive, like come and help keep the energy flowing before there's a real need, right?
Yes, exactly. The way that I see it is, starting from the time we're born, there are stressors in our life that basically harden our systems. So they act like little dams, or I think of them as layers. And so the sooner that those can be addressed and cleared out and peeled off, the less work it takes to stay in that healthy space versus years and years and years of layers and stress and blockages. And so there's still tons of progress to be made, and I'm a firm believer, like, there is always room for improvement.
Right.
But it's like taking care of a car. So if you take it to get the oil change when it's time versus waiting until way past due, and then there's all sorts of other things. So
yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, the layers that we've acquired even as in childhood, that you don't really understand the stories that are being built up. But then as we even evolve as adults, right, there's different chapters. Sometimes you turn a corner and there's a mountain ahead of you and you didn't realize it was coming. So it's making sure that you're ready for those. And I mean, we can't always be ready, but you have your tools in place to be able to help that flow keep going. So even, are there people that come to you and they're like, I just turned my head and I have a crick in my neck and I can't really move? You could obviously help with those situations as well, right?
Yep.
Proactive, reactive. Yeah.
Yes. I love to meet people wherever they're at. So sometimes it is an acute issue, but I love to educate along the way. And in my mind, the body tenses when it doesn't feel safe.
Right.
So if somebody comes in with acute neck pain from turning their neck, okay, we will address that, and we're going to address the underlying energy that might be at play.
Right. Perfect. So, I mean, you see the gamut of people, but I'm fascinated by the child piece because, I mean, we talked about even just the birth process, how crazy that can be, not just for the mom that kind of understands what might be happening, but for this child that has gone from a warm, cozy womb to through this crazy process to a world. Like, will you talk about like your patient, like how young have you seen a patient and what does that process include as you're working with an infant or a toddler?
The youngest client I've had so far is 4 days old.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
So cute. So I just babies, because I believe that babies they haven't been conditioned by the world. So they're so much more directly connected to that innate intelligence source.
Yeah.
So what I see when I work on babies, and I use, when I check a baby's spine and feel their bodies, I use about the pressure that you would use to comfortably press on your eye. So it's not much pressure at all. And the way that I see the human body in general is as if the nervous system were a guitar string running through the body. And that guitar string can vibrate at many different frequencies. A higher frequency if we're agitated, a lower frequency if we're depressed and feeling heavy. So I'm really checking in with the frequency of that guitar string or nervous system of a baby. And my goal is to bring a baby or child, 2-year-old, 4-year-old, to a place of ease. That's the ultimate goal there.
So really, I mean, I would think that anyone could use or benefit from coming to visit you, basically.
That's my personal belief, yes.
I mean, that's what I would say. We've all got something, and whether it's conscious or subconscious, there's something going on. I mean, that's part of the human experience is, okay, like navigating the world, being connected, being rooted. It's, yeah.
Exactly. I really like to use the sessions, especially for adults that have that level of awareness, as a container, because there's just so much of our life that is focused on the external, the people, the job, the family, the weather, and we forget to check in here. And if we're not checked in here, really, what are we doing? So I ultimately just like to create an experience for people to be in their bodies and feel what it feels like to connect to their breath and check in with the pace that their mind has been running at. And I think that in and of itself can be so therapeutic in terms of a reset button, clearing out, fresh start.
Well, and you coached so beautifully through that. From the second I got in to see you, it was very like calming setting. We chatted for a while, and then I lay on your massage table, right? Started on my back, then went to my front, or the other way around.
I
Back
think
to
you started
front.
on your front and then went back. Yeah.
Yes. But it was such, I mean, you were coaching me through breathing and just feeling up my spine and encouraging me to move as I felt I needed to release tensions and blockages. And so you create such a beautiful space for someone to process, however that might mean. And I'm sure for everyone it's slightly different, but I guess I'm just explaining that for someone to understand what it would mean to come and see you and that experience. Because for me, I mean, I love yoga. My journey is like getting myself into positions where I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to listen from within. But for other people, it might be more of a, oh, I don't know if, so, but all I mean by that is that you do a beautiful job at holding that space. So I would encourage people. Are there things that you encourage your clients, or even that you do for yourself to stay aligned outside of this realm?
That is such a good question. And the number one thing is breath. To me, breath is the answer to staying aligned. I read a quote by the Buddha that said something to the effect of, the breath has the power to transport us to our own inner island. Right. And I think that with a conscious, full breath, we can really connect to ourselves. And what I've noticed with clients is when the breath is scattered and shallow or absent, practically absent, right, it's when we're all over the place. And then taking a breath, I literally picture it as aligning to the spinal cord, the spinal column as we breathe. So if I'm ever in a situation where I don't know what to do or what to say or what the next choice is, I often find that even just taking a few really conscious breaths will get me connected to my heart and my soul, and the rest is easy.
No, I've been experiencing, because I've been telling the story I've realized recently that I keep trying to anyway, tell myself that I'm like overwhelmed because I'm trying to like balance these dreams and these passions with being a mom and being just everything that is a joy of being in life. But part of my mind wants to say, I'm overwhelmed. I've got so much. And I'm like, wait a second, that's a story. Like, this is all beautiful things that I want to be doing, and I want to spend my heart and my passions doing it. But it's the breath work and going inside and being like, I'm actually not the one figuring this out. This is like, you're being guided, but it's the breath work again that is rooting me to the earth and reminding myself to get out of the racing exterior world and come back to my intuition. And but even for people such as yourself and I, that I'm like, okay, we've been studying this for a while, it's still that like coming back to ground zero, right? And being like, okay.
Yes, that's something I try to remind myself and my clients is it's not about being perfect and staying connected to that breath every minute of every day. I honestly don't think that that's possible in our human form, but just having the tool and then creating the habit of when you do recognize yourself moving into that story or feeling some of that overwhelm to say, oh yeah. And to me, the breath, yes, it grounds us to this human experience and it expands us to some of the higher dimensions. So it's really both. And we're this vessel in between for this breath or life to travel. It's just so beautiful.
It is. I love it. Oh, well, what am I not thinking to ask you? We've covered so much already, and I feel like I could talk to you all day long, but is there anything else that in how you came about this, or even how you made it to Coeur d'Alene, or anything you want to share?
Um, hmm. I will say that I graduated chiropractic school in June of 2019.
Okay.
So, and then I moved here by September
Mhm.
of, no, I moved in August of 2019, started business in September of 2019. So things have been a whirlwind. But what I've realized is, I was scared to start the business in the sense of bringing something new to a brand new community where I literally did not know a soul. And one thing when I was interning in chiropractic school that my mentor, who was also a chiropractor, said to me was, your business will be a reflection of your spiritual journey. And that has stuck with me so much because as I've grown, the business and the practice has grown as well. So it's been a really fun journey. And I think about where I was just a couple years ago in chiropractic school, questioning what the hell even chiropractic was. I just was trying to define things and figure it all out. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is the evolutionary process has been so beautiful. And I know that if we were to talk again in another year or probably even 2 months, I'll be in a completely different place. And I think a really cool part of being human for all of us is just enjoying this journey and flowing with the yeses and
Mhm.
moving away from the no's and trusting that we can stay in that moment to moment space of this is a yes, this is a no, rather than, oh my gosh, how is this going to look in a year, 2 years, 5 years? And
Right.
that's another way to just so beautifully stay aligned to our hearts and our souls. Is this speaking to me right now? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Total. Well, and I think honestly, like COVID 2020 was an extreme year for so many things, right? But if nothing else, I think it taught us to really understand what's important, to like focus in on that, and also to understand that this too shall pass, right? Like it felt like the world was falling apart, and it was in many ways. But in the other way, you could see it as like all of this crap that has needed to bubble to the surface and be figured out, bubble to the surface and was figured out so that we could all move on a little lighter or keep chipping away at these things that need to be evolved, and some love, love, lots of love shone on them, you know? So,
Yes.
oh.
One of my grounding beliefs is that the universe is conspiring for our highest good, individually and as a collective. And
Mhm.
that keeps me sane, even
Me
in
too.
times of pain and confusion and darkness, to say, okay, I hear you. This really sucks right now, but I know I'm learning from this. I will grow from this. And as a whole, we're going to evolve towards the highest good.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know you love snowboarding, you said, and do you mind if sharing with us just a little bit of your daily practices that keeps you in this fabulous energy space?
Yes, that has been a journey as well because when I started, I thought I needed the 9 to 5 life. I thought that was what I had to do. And I was feeling it was hard to get out of bed in the mornings, and I just was feeling tired and achy at the end of the day. So I quickly learned to I've shifted my schedule in a way that my mornings are stress free. I don't have kids or anything, so I have the luxury of doing that right now. But my ideal day is starting work at 11 a.m.
Nice.
So before that, I love to wake up and drink coffee or tea and read something inspiring, anything. Lately, it's been Marianne Williamson. Do you know her? Oh,
Yes, I
good.
do. Such an icon.
Yes, I love to read and then also write a little bit, just whatever comes to my mind that day. It's a way for me to check in with myself.
Right.
Movement is another huge piece for me, and that's another thing that I've played with, because same idea as the 9 to 5. I thought I need to go to the gym, lift this much weight for this many reps for an hour, and
Yeah.
I found that it's just about having fun and doing the things that feel nourishing that day.
Mhm.
So I've learned that I don't do best with a rigid routine. I do best with those in the moment decisions. Today feels like a yoga day or
Yeah.
a walk day. So I really try my best to not plan,
Yeah.
get some form of nourishing movement in.
I love
Um,
that though, because like you said, you set up though like the framework. The framework is like I will get some kind of movement in. I will do, and then you're like allowing this feminine flow in between of like I'll decide what my body needs in the moment because everything you just said is totally my like I used to need to run for or whatever for so many minutes and sweat. That was a requirement. And now I'm like, I don't really know the last time I fully sweated, but I'm like moving and my yoga practice is hard or but in a way that isn't straining to my body. It feels like strengthening and empowering. Unless it's a yin day where I just want to like be way more mellow because that's where I'm at. So I totally relate to that.
yeah, there's so much of that yang energy in the world of push, do it. And I see that showing up in, yes, an energetic level in clients, but also in the physical level. Like their bodies are at 50, 55-year olds with hurting knees and hurting spines. And they're like, yeah, I bench this much and I squat. I'm like, okay, could consider trying some yoga or walking. So
Right.
just I think there's a lot of work to do as a society in terms of being okay with the restful, restorative movement and lifestyle.
No, for sure. And I've realized that less is more for me. Like
Mhm.
I am a healthier, more balanced person not doing that hardcore workout. And my waistline isn't any different. So it's not like, so it's, yeah, I completely agree. It's not all about the pushing. I think is the theme of this so far, right? Like flow is a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh, so beautifully stated. That's the bottom line in my life right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, where do we find you? I know you teach yoga, you've got your practice. As we start to come out of COVID a little bit more and more and more, we'll be able to do all of the things even more than we have been.
I am so excited for that.
Deal.
Well, I do have an Instagram account. So Soul Movement Cairo is a very easy way. I love connecting with people there when they have questions or whatever. And I'm located in downtown Coeur d'Alene. So 7th and Lakeside. Coeur d'Alene's a pretty small area. I'm right next to the post office. And I share space with one of my favorite people here. Her name is Nicole Rainey, and she is the owner of the Path Hot Yoga. So there's yoga classes there, and then when there's not yoga classes is when I use the space to adjust. So that would be the best way to find me.
Fabulous. And where do you teach yoga? You teach it right at Path, right?
Yeah. Yep. I teach some of the yin classes. Yin, as you probably would have guessed, is my favorite. So
Lovely. And of course, I will link all of that in the show notes so that you can find Dr. Bonita. So I know you haven't been here that long, but it sounds like you've already made some great connections. I always like to end with asking who are your local inspirations? Who inspires you locally to live a vibrant life?
oh my gosh, I have connected with so many strong and beautiful women here, just
Mm.
immersed in health and healing. So some of my favorites, like I mentioned, Nicole Rainey, the owner of the Path Hot Yoga. Another friend of mine, her name is Jackie Waldvogel. Have you heard of human design?
I don't. I've heard of it in like maybe not.
Okay, well, consider it a seed, Gemma.
Okay, I will. I'll do some Googling right after this.
Human design, my best attempt at explaining it is like astrology on steroids.
Perfect.
There's more to it than that. That is not doing it justice, but that's the gist of it. So Jackie Waldvogel she reads people's human design, and she is amazing. There's another woman named Donna Mills, who is just an all-around amazing human. She does energy work, and she's involved with the civil rights building here. So she's cool. And then Brandy Fisher owns Freedom Finders Yoga. I don't know if you've tried that one out yet.
Yeah, I haven't yet. No.
Yes, definitely.
So many. I think it's so exciting. I think selfishly, even why I was so inspired to start this podcast is I'm like, I know there's my kind of people and people doing really inspiring things in this community. But nowadays, there's this weird, like, how do you start going about finding people, right? I mean, it's going to the yoga classes, yeah, I think this has been just fun, just starting to have conversations, because this is how I thrive, is like, let's get to know each other one-on-one. And then, our networks just start to grow, and you go to this yoga class and this yoga class and get this Reiki session, and yeah, you find energy attracts like energy.
You are such a beautiful example of living in alignment, doing what you feel called to do. Even when you reached out to me on Instagram, it was, hey, I'm feeling drawn to you. And that's enough. That is enough. And it's just so amazing to me time and time again. I've seen it happen in myself and people like you. Opportunities unfold when you follow those things. So good job.
Thank you. And how fun is it though to like follow that like little feeling and then to find a great person who's going to be a great friend even more so. And just realize that that's really as easy as it can be. It doesn't have to be hard.
Easy. Yes. Oh, that's a beautiful life lesson right there.
Right. Yes. Maybe on that's the note we'll end. So thank you again for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait just to get to know you more and see you more in the future.
Yes, I love the work you're doing and I love the words that you speak. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You as well. Thanks for joining our conversation today. This podcasting journey has already opened my vision to so many unconventional ways of aligning our minds, bodies, and souls, which in turn has expanded my thinking and views on how life can be lived in general. Like someone somewhere, either now or even centuries ago, has healed this wound or overcome this battle in a way that I've not even thought about. Like taking an infant to a chiropractor to support their first chakra development, or healing physical pain by releasing emotional trauma. Life can truly be as limited or expansive as we allow our minds to see. As I continue this journey of discovery and holistic living, I hope you join me as I get to know more awesome, inspiring people in this Inland West region. Please feel free to share, like, and let me know who you'd like to hear in the future. Sending all the love, light, and vibrancy. Until next time.